You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal from somewhere beyond the status quo, here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Well, if you build the business that you need to create the life that you want, that's great. But you've got to be able to manage your finances. I mean, wouldn't it be kind of terrible if you spent all this time and effort and energy building up the business you need so you could live the life that you want, but then you blew it all because you didn't know how to manage your finances? So this is really important for business owners. It's important for everybody, but especially for rebelpreneurs. You've got to get your head and your heart wrapped around the money issue. Today's guest is going to help you to do that. I'm speaking with Brogden Turner. He is an author, a personal finance coach, and facilitator dedicated to helping people recreate their lives in life, money, and business. So, Brogden, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Hey, Ralph. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on and helping us to get our money figured out, because this is such a struggle for a lot of people, even people who are successful. Otherwise, some of us struggle with this area, and I'm no financial genius myself, so I'm all ears and looking forward to a great conversation with you. Before we get into it, tell us a little bit about how you got started in personal finance. What's your story?
Sure. My journey dates back to almost 10 years ago. And first and foremost, I am in addiction recovery, and I started my my entrepreneurial quest back then for all the wrong reasons, and was mostly illegal and all that. Excuse me. So I come from humble beginnings. And I had a rough start to life. So I'm about 24 years old. I'm experimenting with drugs and excessive partying, and I have no direction in life whatsoever. And I got set up on a drug sale charge, and my whole life is coming crashing down, or so I think. Opportunity tends to show up in the form of misfortune, is what I've learned from that experience.
Yeah.
So I end up cleaning up, and I have this problem. The IRS is knocking at my door, and I haven't claimed taxes, and I'm new to sobriety, and I have all these things going on in my head, and it just seemed like one of those holes I could never get out of. The IRS, I owed a lot of money to. I had a ton of unsecured debt in the form of student loans, credit cards, you name it. The only asset I had was my vehicle. So I had a big mess to take care of, and I had little to no direction. So that is why I do what I do now. That was the beginning, and I guess I'll sort of let you guide, whatever you'd like to hear about that throughout the rest of this here.
Sure. Well,
that's what I do.
Yeah. What was the turning point for you to get out of that big hole? There had to be some an aha moment or something that showed you the way out. What did you discover?
I think the biggest thing was that it was like almost like self-disgust. It kind of sounds morbid, but a lot of times it was just this intensive pain that I just could not bear to live with anymore, and that showed up in the form of finances for me. I owed everybody, and I had no career. I started my life over making $13 an hour working nights. That was 10 years ago with about six figures worth of debt. And I removed all of that from that moment of just saying, you know what, I've had enough. Like, things got to change, and I'm determined to do whatever it takes to get there.
Wow, that's awesome. And so it all starts with that inner shift. And I guess, addiction is kind of like debt. It kind of pulls you in and then doesn't let you go, until you get some help and some good strategies and a plan for getting out of it.
You're 100% right. And, we live in a very marketed to culture. And if we really aren't clear on what we want as far as not only life, but what to do with the money that we earn when we exchange our time for it, we tend to get pulled into all these different directions and our focus gets scattered. And before you know it, I can only speak for myself, but I had some very severe spending habits that were addictive in nature. Absolutely.
Now, you have an interesting niche market that you've actually written a book for, and that you serve as a personal finance coach. Tell us a little bit more about who you work with and who is your ideal person that you are able to help.
Absolutely. My ideal client is in addiction recovery also. Because of my own story and my own pain, is I tend to have a lot of compassion for people that are making honest efforts and recreating their lives. And I know how difficult it can be. And for me, I wish that there was somebody available. I wish there was someone like me to reach out to, because, not only are our own lives unmanageable, but it speaks for our financial lives as well. And there's like this little belief barrier, like this limiting belief barrier in the recovery community that finances and personal growth do not mix. And I found through my own journey that it's quite the opposite. And so that's what I help people do, is just sort of rearrange those belief systems and those paradigms, and to actually make it fun as far as making personal growth a part of the process. Because, boy, it was like the last rung for me. It really helped me feel like I was in control of my life again, and that I had a sense of purpose and a sense of responsibility.
Very important. And, finances touches everything that we do. So any discussion about personal development or building a business you need for the life that you want, it has to include a discussion about money, our mindset towards money, our money habits. All of these things can either make us or break us. Is there a common problem or a obstacle that seems to be typical that prevents people from really getting control of their finances in your experience?
Absolutely. From my experience, the number one is just the lack of willingness to look. It's not a lot of fun. It reveals a lot about ourselves as far as character flaws or addictions or things like that. But I think the misconception is that it can actually be fun if you make a game out of it. It's challenging. So number one is looking, and then number two would be actually developing a strategy and an action plan around changing some of those things that you do want to change. And that's different for everybody. So I had a client of mine, we were in the preliminary stages, and he was asking me, well, how does the program work and how does this work and that? I said, I don't have a program. I just want to know what you want. What do you want to change, and how can I help you do that? So that's basically, my program around clients, is figuring out what they want to change and helping them close that gap from here to there. Yeah,
from where they are to where they want to be. So you mentioned the lack of a willingness to look. Why is that? Is it just fear? Is it denial? Is it all the above or something else?
It very well could be fear, denial, or both, or even more on top of that. And those are things that I try to probe with people, because everyone's reason is different. And I think, especially in this culture, at least for me, I was brought up believing that what you have is what makes you successful. And I couldn't disagree with that more. And I think there's that underneath the surface, I feel like, of many people in this country, is that it's almost like a symbol, of the things that you can acquire, and sort of puts this false representation of who you are, and it makes it a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
So I did write this book for people in addiction recovery, and it's almost like saying politics or religion for people in recovery. Like it's so controversial, and it really doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Well, so and it could be that people that are listening right now, they may not be in addiction recovery at the moment. Maybe they are, but more likely they're not. But they're just trying to wrap their brains around their financial situation, and I think they resonate with this fear of looking. They don't want to know. They're afraid to look at their level of debt. They're afraid to. They don't know for sure within $100 how much is in their bank account. They are living, if not paycheck to paycheck, from client to client, from project to project, and never seeming to get ahead, or the typical feast and famine cycle of marketing, where you get a big client, everything's great, and a couple of months later, you've run out of money, you have no clients in the pipeline. So people in business are not necessarily more financially adroit than people who are living paycheck to paycheck. What can people like that, what do they need to begin doing to start to get control of this? Do you have like a self-help process that you can walk us through?
Yeah, sure. If there's any way that anyone can generate some sort of consistent income, I'm not saying, give up your dreams or whatever. This would be different for everybody. Some people might be able to sneak in something part-time and keep a steady stream of income to at least cover your basic survival stuff, so that you don't have to worry about where your next paycheck is coming in. And that makes it difficult to sell. When you have that fear, and your customer can, or your ideal customer or client can sort of sense that neediness, and it almost repels people. Like, I've always had better luck selling when I don't actually need it.
That's amazing, isn't it? How people pick up on your neediness versus your not neediness, and the scarcity mentality tends to repel people.
Absolutely, and I still have a full-time job, and I do this coaching on the side. Would I like to do that eventually full-time? Absolutely. But I know that for me at this point in time, that is not something that's completely within my grasp. And the other problem I ran into was that I was reinvesting the money too quickly into coaching. Mm-hmm. And I put myself in a position to where I was pretty slim, and I've since readjusted. But, if that happened to be wrong place, wrong time, it might have turned the other way. So actually, I put a halt to a few things myself to get myself into a better position cash-wise, and it couldn't have come at a better time with this stuff that's going on right now. Sure,
absolutely. So, what do you recommend to people as a first step to getting past this fear and really stepping up and taking responsibility and making those tough decisions?
Yeah, I would say have some sort of a steady income that so you really don't have to go out there and it eliminates the fear aspect of it, I believe. And just to have some sort of a plan, an exit strategy, and just don't let that funnel dry up. Do not let that funnel dry up. Go out there and make new connections and new network, and just keep making yourself available.
Yeah, and especially in when things are difficult, that's when we need to continue to do the marketing. That's not the time to scale back. It's the time to ramp up and to really step up and up our game, get into it, and make it work, and develop some mental toughness. I think that's a great way to think about it and to approach it. Now, when that runs out, or when people are beyond the point where they can self-motivate, how would working with a personal finance coach like yourself really improve their chances of success?
Well, I would say a coach like me, I've been through some real low bottoms, especially what got me on this journey to begin with. And when someone has that experience, they sort of know, I wouldn't say exactly, but they know how to guide you. They know how to have you hold on to that vision when there's all sorts of fear and panic. And I love how you brought that up, because now is when opportunities do show up, and a coach can really help you keep your focus on that and off of the media and the pessimism and all that stuff that's sort of floating around right now. And it reminds me of that book, Think and Grow Rich, where they were talking about a lot of people who were able to harness those inner faculties of the mind and stay focused, and the opportunities were revealed to them because of so many people and so much doubt and uncertainty. Just let that fear overcome them that they quit. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't agree with you that now is the perfect time to ramp it up, really be aggressive, and see what you can do. And I can't imagine what that'll do for the confidence. I just closed on 2 clients myself, and I feel great about working with them and helping them through this tough time. Excellent.
So you've got your coaching, you've written a book, you've got workshops and things that are going on. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I would like to get another real estate property, and I've got my eyes on the hunt. There are some people that are probably over leveraged, and or maybe they're just scared, and I'm looking for short sells and all kinds of opportunity there. And because that's the best way to do it, I think, is when people need to get rid of it. You've got the drive, you've got control of the wheel.
Yeah, I agree. And the same thing with the stock market. Instead of looking at it as, the stock market is crashing, you could look at it, or you should look at it as, look, there's a great 50% off sale at Wall Street today.
Yeah, you couldn't be more correct. That's exactly it. This doesn't last forever. The crashes are usually short-lived. They're very extreme and short-lived, and there's a lot of people right now taking advantage of it. And, I'm seeing this all over the place in personal finance and investing groups, business groups. Everything's on sale.
Yeah.
So be afraid to go in.
Yeah. It's all in the mindset, isn't it?
100%.
Well, this has really been encouraging, I think, especially to those of you listening who are maybe you're trying to start your business, or maybe you've already achieved a certain level of success in your business, but you're still struggling with the cash flow and with the personal side of money management. So I encourage you, if that is you and you want to get more insight on this, you can look up Brandon Turner at moneymatterspersonalfinance.com, and we'll have that link on the Rebelpreneur website as well. Brandon, any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Just stay positive. Now is your time. The opportunities are there, so go get them.
Well said. Brandon Turner is an author, a personal finance coach, and facilitator who is dedicated to helping people recreate their lives in life, money, and business. Check him out at moneymatterspersonalfinance.com. Brandon, thank you so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
It's an honor, Ralph. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.